In today's news, individuals and businesses to be penalized if social distancing protocols are breached.
Mr. Terrell Harrigan says thank you to Rotary Club Sunrise and 22 new coronavirus cases reported in USVI as outbreak starts to begin affecting St. Thomas and St. John. All this and more after 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome everybody. It's Thursday, July 9th, 2020, a terrific Thursday that is out of our home, the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
We have lots in store for you today, so we're going to get right to it. Oftentimes, we hear of many service organizations in the territory of the Virgin Islands giving selflessly to various causes, whether it's planting of trees, creating mobile libraries, or giving monetary donations towards someone in need. Today, we are pleased to share the success story of Mr. Terrell Harrigan. At a recent Rotary Club Sunrise meeting, mother of Terrell Harrigan's, Miss Bernicia Harrigan, shared his amazing story with Rotarians. Their contribution allowed him to be able to have a successful surgery. This is his story, and I quote, "First, Terrell Harrigan and I, Bernicia Harrigan, would like to say thank you for your donation towards his surgery that took place in 2017, and special thank you to Madam President, Mrs. Kenesha Sprov, who reached out to me during that time and also invited Terrell and I here today. Now, summer in 2015, while doing a physical checkup to attend school in the U.S., Terrell was diagnosed with sclerosis, which we found out needed corrective surgery in order to straighten his spinal cord. Specialist consultation was sought at the Bougainvillea Clinic and at the clinic in St. Thomas. We then booked an appointment with a specialist at Shriners Hospital in Tampa, Florida for further evaluations. Surgery date was set for the 27th of December 2016, but was rescheduled to the 20th of March 2017 due to the doctor's unavailability. The surgery, which lasted 5 hours with myself being the only person in the waiting area, was definitely nerve-wracking, but it was successful without any complications. Terrell stayed an additional 4 days at the hospital, and then we stayed at the hotel until the 10th of April 2017 for 3 weeks until that time. Then Terrell was able to go back to school with strict guidance and precautions. He further had periodical follow-ups visits for a 1-year period until he was medically cleared to go back to his normal way of life. Through all of this, Terrell remained successful at school and graduated from the Vanguard School in Lake Wales, Florida, 21st of May 2020 with a 3.87 GPA. On behalf of Terrell and myself, I want to encourage each of you to continue helping and making a positive impact in the lives of persons who seek your assistance. Thanks again for your generosity and support. Your generous gift made an impact in helping with Terrell's surgery. Now, Kyla, what an amazing story to begin our newscast today, a positive story that is. As I said in the intro, a lot of persons, a lot of service organizations give back to the community, whether it's Rotary or the Alliance Club of Tortola, and oftentimes we don't get to hear the success stories, but here is a tremendous success story coming out of the British Virgin Islands. Terrell was diagnosed as being autistic, but high-functioning autistic, and to see him just stand tall and proud, being a success story was absolutely amazing. We here at 284 Media continue to wish Terrell the very best in all he sets his mind to, and we are so proud to share this amazing story of strength, hope, and resilience.
Definitely, Ron, this story definitely makes my heart smile just a little, and as you said, an awesome note to start our newscast on. But as you said, it's just an awesome, really hearing the story of a mother and then seeing him standing tall there what an awesome, awesome experience. Now, as we move on, now in a statement, Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew A. Foy, announced that individuals and business establishments will incur penalties if they fail to adhere to social distancing and COVID-19 preventative measures. These range of penalties are being introduced under the COVID-19 Control and Suppression Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2020. The Act enacts provisions to adhere to social distancing measures, which include but are not limited to the wearing of face mask coverings by all individuals when in an indoor or outdoor public space. Also, the maintaining of 6 feet of physical distance between individuals when in an indoor or outdoor space. All businesses must ensure that employees and visitors or customers wear face masks or coverings and adhere to all social distancing measures approved by the government of the Virgin Islands. Ron, all things that we have been hearing and have been repeated, but now the introduction of a range of penalties for individuals and businesses that violate the above listed measures, which may include the following. Now, individuals themselves can be penalized accordingly. For their first offense, they can get off with a warning. For your second offense, you can come up on a fine and education/training. Now, each subsequent offense after the second offense will be met with a fine each time. Now, failure to pay a fine will incur a further penalty. Now, businesses will be penalized accordingly. For a first offense, there will be a warning. Second offense, fine and a notice of closure, subject to re-inspection and education/training. Now, a third offense will be the revocation of your environmental health certificate and closure and a further penalty. Now, Ron, just last month, in speaking to the Chief Environmental Health Officer, Mr. Lionel Michaels, he indicated that the social distancing guidelines were being amended at that time because they realized that it was putting all the responsibility on businesses and none on the patrons.
Correct.
But now here we see where individuals will be held accountable for their safety. So, Ron?
I think the measures are quite important, and I think nonetheless, as we continue to traverse through these very difficult times, it is important that we put measures in place. It's one thing for a business to receive a certificate, but what happens after they receive the certificate? And particular places of social interaction are of concern, but I do think that at the end of the day, like Mr. Michael said, instead of putting the full blunt of the responsibility on a business owner who is really and truly busy and just thinking about making a dollar, a lot of the responsibility should also be on the patrons to make sure that they are adhering to the protocols. What do you do when someone comes to a bar and does not want to adhere to the protocols? Then that's where these measures step in. So I'm happy to see them in place.
Yeah, this is where these penalties come in, as we've been seeing around the world where employees have been getting in altercations with customers for not wearing masks, and we definitely do not want to get to that point here.
And locally too, it has been happening. Yes.
See, so we definitely don't want to get to that point, and I think as we look around, we see that persons are becoming a bit lackadaisical with wearing masks and following the social distancing protocol. So here we see the government really locking down on that to make sure that persons are doing the right thing.
Commendable. Now, still ahead, ladies and gentlemen, 22 new corona cases they're reported in the U.S. Virgin Islands as the outbreak starts to begin, unfortunately affecting St. Thomas and St. John. And government extends contract with a Paradise Suite Hotel. All this and more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
I love you, Penny. Run, Forrest, run! sick of being in this house. I just want to go to the beach, go out, go just one day, and gather, just gather. I'm sick of being in this house.
Having withdrawals from being stuck in the house for so long? Are you tired of looking at your old photos and daydreaming about your next vacation? Well, BVI Staycation is back, and there's so much to choose from. For more information on upcoming deals, follow us on Facebook at BVI Staycation. Get ready, BVI, for an adventure in paradise. It's time to vacation where we live.
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Now on to a regional scene just over in the U.S. Virgin Islands. A coronavirus outbreak that started on St. Croix last week is now affecting St. Thomas and to a lesser extent St. John, according to the Department of Health's USVI latest infographic issued Wednesday night. 22 new cases of the coronavirus disease were confirmed in the territory, 13 on St. Croix, 7 on St. Thomas, and 2 in St. John. On St. Croix, 3 of the new cases were transmitted through community transmission, 7 through close contact of the 3 other cases that were under investigation as a result of, as of Wednesday. Now in St. Thomas, 5 of the new cases were under investigation as of Wednesday. 1 was transmitted through community transmission and the other through close contact. The 2 new cases on St. John were travel-related. Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Albert Bryan, has scheduled a coronavirus press briefing that was held today, and so far Mr. Bryan has reinstated that walking back the territory's opening to a safer at-home phase when bars and restaurants were closed and could only serve takeout, and hotels were ordered not to accept reservations. Now it remains to be seen what the new steps will be, if any. The governor will announce tomorrow. Now asked recently by the consortium who this story was reported by what it would have to take back the reopening from open doors to a safer at-home phase, Mr. Bryant said, and I quote, "I think it would take people showing up at the hospital, showing that we have a surge for us to be identifying cases and where they are being identified coming from community spread. That would be a ticker." Coronavirus causes postponement of the Senate hearing, which was supposed to be scheduled earlier today. Unfortunately, the coronavirus has impacted our office family. As such, we are left with no choice but to postpone the committee meeting, said Alicia Barnes yesterday. Now, who had scheduled a hearing on Thursday in the committee government operating of consumer affairs and energy and environment and planning. Kyla, a bit of a sad state, and we know that before I say that, before I continue, when we say sad state, we understand that it's almost sometimes inevitable for the virus to not impact a community. But what we see in St. Thomas, where there's consistently a surge of the virus, despite efforts, I think is now at this point is cause for concern. 20 new cases within a very short period of time, some of which are community spread, and then we also see some on the very small island of St. John. And we wish our brothers and sisters in the U.S. Virgin Islands the utmost of the best and safety, and I think it serves as an example for us here in the Virgin Islands, the BVI, where we need to take our health very seriously as it pertains to the coronavirus.
Most definitely, but what I would say, Ron, what I'm really thinking about here in the BVI, we have definitely took a different approach, but we would hear some person saying, hey, you have to learn to live with the virus, and which is very true. But I think we're seeing that over in the USVI. So now can persons now look at the USVI and say, hey, as you said, it is inevitable when an economy is staying open and persons are still operating as normal, it is expected. But do we want to, open back our schools here in the BVI? Do we want to go about things, open our borders and things like that? And we have an example over in the USVI.
I agree with you.
So I think we have to pick what our reality would really look like and really understand what that would be like.
I agree. We have an example, not the best example, because we see where it's a negative connotation, but as persons push to reopen the borders, which I know many persons are adamant that we have to move towards not trying to be shut out from the rest of the world.
Which I agree as well.
I do agree with that, but I think, as you said, this is a prime example for us to look at. Where do we want to be? Do we want to put ourselves in an even more risky position, or do we want to continue to play it safe at the risk of continually stifling our economy? It's a toss-up, and it's a difficult one.
It's a difficult decision to make. But as we move on now, in the same statement made by our Premier here in the British Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Foy, he indicated that the government of the Virgin Islands have extended its contract with Paradise Suites Hotel in the Road Town area that is located in the One Stop Mall. Now, Premier Foy said that the decision was made, and I quote, due to the need for additional rooms for government quarantine purposes to accommodate detainees in immigration custody. He said the contract period previously approved for the occupancy of Paradise Suites Hotel has therefore been extended by 2 weeks, covering the period April 1st to July 15th, 2020. Back in April, Governor of the British Virgin Islands, or Governor Augustus Jaspert, he declared 6 rooms at the Paradise Hotel to be used as a prison facility. And
Correct.
I think we could remember that, Ron. And he did so in accordance with Section 4A of the territory's prison ordinance, which states that the governor may, by proclamation, declare any place to be a prison.
Yeah. We had the opportunity, or I had the opportunity to sit down with the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Development earlier today, and persons can, of course, check that full interview out, a very detailed interview with him, and he outlines quite a bit of statistics that I think we need to pay attention to as it pertains to moving forward with COVID-19 and protecting. He also speaks about the repatriation of our locals and what that quarantine and how that quarantine process is going. I see the government of the Virgin Islands trying their best as it pertains to protecting persons. The system perhaps is not perfect, like everything else is flawed, and we continue to wish them the best for all of our safety.
Yes, viewers, still ahead, St. Kitts and Nevis Newest Senator Dr. Nisbett, humbled to serve, and so much more here on 284 News. We'll be right back.
In the final analysis, we have 2 options: stay inside and create memories that will last forever, or go outside and say goodbye to those memories. We're not stuck inside, we're safer inside. The time is now to unite, embrace, and love each other from a distance. Show the world and the people in it just how much they mean to you by keeping your distance. It may be difficult, but necessary. Let's reintroduce humanity and heart to all homes. While we can't enjoy the sun, sand, and sea, let's take this time to remember why we are nature's little secrets. Stay inside, and when it's over, we would all be better, stronger, and we would all still be together. With self-discipline and patience, we can overcome. We are, have been, and will always be VI Strong. A message from your team at 284 Media.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Some very awesome news coming out of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The newest senator in the National Assembly in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Bernicia Nisbett, who was sworn in yesterday, July 8th, 2020, as she is deeply humbled by the opportunity presented to her to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis at the National Assembly level. Now, Dr. Nisbett currently serves as the District Medical Officer responsible for the communities stretching from Parsons Village to Newtown Ground. Now, the young medical professional has answered the call to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in a different capacity. She was sworn in as a senator and the next deputy speaker of the National House of Assembly during a ceremony at Government House. That ceremony was attended by His Excellency Governor General Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Deputy PM the Honorable Sean Richards, Minister of Youth the Honorable Jonelle Powell, and Minister of Health the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbett. Giving remarks during the brief ceremony, Dr. Nisbett revealed that it was seeing the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbett as a young woman gracefully serving, then as the Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly, that motivated her to become active in the democratic life of St. Kitts and Nevis. She said, and I quote, "If you had asked me 5 years ago or maybe 10 years ago, would you see yourself in the National Assembly, I would have told you no, because that wasn't my aspiration. But when I saw the Honorable Akila Bruley, who is photoed with her on the right, the moment she got into Parliament, I started admiring her, and she just gave me this zest, this motivation and aspiration to say, if Akila can do it and she's young and a female, then I can do it too," Dr. Nisbett said. Now, speaking to the media after the ceremony, Minister Byron Nisbett said she is particularly pleased that more young persons, particularly young women, are answering the call to serve the country in this capacity. The minister said, and I quote, "It is indeed a pleasure to have another young person who has stepped forward and offered herself to serve the country. Being able to see her put herself forward in this way is something that should be encouraged by other young persons as well." The Honorable Minister of Health, ICT, Entertainment, Entrepreneurship and Talent Development said she was honored to hear that her own stint as Deputy Speaker of the National House of Assembly was the driving force behind Dr. Nisbett's decision to present herself to serve in this level. She continued by saying, and I quote, "I must say that I felt a little bit humbled that she would have indicated that her motivation to say yes to service would have come from seeing me in the same role that she would now be in. And I am honored and pleased that this was a motivation for her. I am hopeful that she too would become a motivation for other young women to also take a leading role with the realms of politics and within the realms of our National Assembly. And so I just want to encourage her to continue to be true to herself, true to her God, and to do whatever she can do to continue to be of service to this country," Minister Byron Nisbett added. Now, Dr. Bernicia Nisbett concluded that as a medical doctor, she has always been passionate about serving and helping people, and as she quotes, and I say, "Taking the opportunity would help me to serve St. Kitts at a wider capacity." Kyla, awesome news coming out of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Bernicia Nisbett is not only taking up the realms as a senator, but also as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, which we call here in the BVI the House of Assembly, and she is perhaps the youngest to serve in this capacity, and we are absolutely proud of her. So congratulations to Dr. Nisbett, and we wish her the very best.
I love it. I love the girl power that we're seeing there. I see where another young woman was inspired by another, and that's what I love.
That's what it's about.
The most. And to add that she's very young, ambitious, so we do, as you said, want to wish her the best in her endeavors. Now, in our last story for the newscast, now, Dr. Hubert Menes, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, spoke to the reasoning behind implementing curfews to help slow the spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus. Now, Ron and viewers, this is something we here in the BVI have been a bit puzzled about. The BVI have experienced its share of curfews, and we continue to do so. Now, currently, the BVI is under curfew conditions between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yes.
So, well, Prime Minister of the Bahamas gave some insight into this, according to the Eyewitness News. Now, Dr. Minnis said, and I quote, "While there is no scientific evidence to support it, COVID-19 curfew remains in place because officials believe it is the most active time for mass gatherings." He explained that many persons in the Bahamas have asked why do they have to lock down at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and have even asked for an extension. And now we know those sentiments very well. But Dr. Minnis, he continued by saying, and I quote, "We believe that during those times there are mass gatherings, parties, etc. as the most active times. That's our view. There's no scientific evidence at this point in time, and nobody would know until 5 or 10 years from today when they look back and they analyze how the Bahamas managed, how the US managed, and how the UK managed. That's when the results will come out, because today we are all fluid, we are all changing, and we are all getting results." The Prime Minister noted that such statistics on the most active times in the country is not readily available at this time. Minnis noted, however, that their view is demonstrated by local establishments who continue to cater to large crowds. And he said, I quote, "Young people don't party before 8 o'clock. I think Ron, he will learn something about the young people." Minnis recounted his own college years when he would go to bed at 8 p.m. and get up at 10 p.m. to go out and party for midnight. I'm certain the young people do that today, he continued. That's the most active time. That was my most active time. The Prime Minister also pointed out to a recent incident where the police had to shut down a party with some of 150 individuals. Now, Dr. Minnis said that the pandemic is very fluid, as we know, and he advised countries to look at their busiest times periods and enforce curfews around those times.
He raised some very valid points as it pertains to the reason for the curfew. I'm not sure if he's accurate about the party times. Generations have switched. But
I don't think necessarily that generations have switched, but I think if we look around, persons are making the time due. So if you have to go out at 8 o'clock, then you'll go out at 8 o'clock and make sure that
whenever they're allowed to go out there.
You're going to come back home at 12 p.m. So I understand his reasoning, but as he said, there's no scientific evidence behind of it, but they're really and truly just trying their best at this point in time, Ron.
As we all do.
Most definitely. So viewers, guess what? That is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media and 284 BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. Of course, it is my pleasure. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We'll see you again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. We're 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. A happy Thursday, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.